The old house had always whispered. Not in a dramatic, haunted house, movie way, but a subtle, constant susurrus, like secrets being shared just beyond my hearing. I inherited it from my great Aunt Mildred, a woman I barely knew, who, according to family lore, had become increasingly eccentric in her later years, rarely leaving the house and filling it with things. I wasn't expecting a mansion, but the sheer volume of stuff was overwhelming. Every room was crammed with antique furniture, dusty books, and strange artifacts. It was like stepping into a Victorian-era curiosity shop, except the shopkeeper had vanished decades ago. I spent the first few days just trying to clear pathways through the clutter, uncovering forgotten corners and breathing in the scent of aged paper and moth-eaten velvet. The attic was the worst. A narrow, winding staircase led up to a low, ceilinged space filled with shadows and the oppressive weight of forgotten memories. The air was thick with dust, and the only light came from a single, grimy window at the far end. I hesitated at the top of the stairs, a prickle of unease crawling up my spine. It wasn't just the mess, there was something else, a sense of wrongness. I told myself it was just my imagination, fueled by too many late-night horror movies. I was a rational person, a historian by trade. I dealt in facts, not phantoms. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I started sorting through boxes, uncovering old photographs, letters, and journals. Great Aunt Mildred had been a prolific writer, documenting her life in meticulous detail. As I read, I began to piece together a picture of a woman who was both brilliant and deeply troubled. She had been fascinated by the occult, dabbling in seances and spirit photography. Her journal spoke of strange encounters, whispers in the dark, and a growing sense of dread. One entry, dated just a few weeks before her death, caught my attention. The echo is getting louder. It's in the attic now, always watching, always waiting. I dismissed it as the ramblings of a disturbed mind, but the words lingered in my thoughts as I continued to explore the attic. I found a collection of antique mirrors, each covered with a thick layer of dust. As I wiped one clean, I caught a glimpse of my reflection, but for a split second, it wasn't me. It was someone else, someone with Mildred's eyes, staring back with a look of profound terror. I recoiled, my heart pounding in my chest. It was just a trick of the light, I told myself, a reflection of my own fear. But as I stared into the mirror, I heard it, a faint echo, a whisper in the darkness, calling my name. The echo persisted, growing louder each day. It seemed to emanate from the attic, a constant reminder of Mildred's final, terrifying days. I tried to ignore it, to focus on the task of cleaning and organizing the house, but it was always there, a subtle undercurrent of dread. I started having nightmares. I would wake up in the middle of the night, convinced that someone was standing in my room, watching me. I would see shadows moving in the corners of my eyes, hear whispers just beyond my hearing. The house was getting to me, feeding on my fears, amplifying my anxieties. I decided to consult a local historian, a man named Mr. Abernathy, who had written extensively about the town's history, including the stories of its oldest families. I showed him Mildred's journals, hoping he could shed some light on her obsession with the occult. He read through the entries, his brow furrowed in concentration. Mildred was always a bit of an odd duck, he said, but she was a brilliant woman. She had a sharp mind and a thirst for knowledge. It's a shame she became so isolated. I asked him about the Mildred had mentioned in her journal. He hesitated, a flicker of unease in his eyes. There are stories, he said, old wives' tales, really. They say that the house is built on a place where the veil between worlds is thin, that sometimes echoes of the past bleed through, haunting the present. I scoffed. You don't actually believe that, do you? He shrugged. I'm a historian, not a ghost hunter. But I've learned that there are some things that can't be explained by logic or reason. Some places are just different. He told me a story about a previous owner of the house, a man who had gone mad and murdered his family, claiming that he was possessed by a demon. He said that the house had a reputation for driving people to the edge, for amplifying their fears and anxieties. I left Mr. Abernathy's house feeling more uneasy than ever. I wanted to dismiss his stories as folklore, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to the house than I understood. That night, the echo was louder than ever. It was a chorus of voices, whispering my name, calling me to the attic. I tried to resist, but the pull was too strong. I found myself climbing the stairs, drawn by an irresistible force. The attic was colder than usual, the air thick with a palpable sense of dread. The shadows seemed to writhe and twist, taking on grotesque shapes. The antique mirrors shimmered in the dim light, reflecting distorted images of myself. The echo was deafening now, a cacophony of voices, each whispering a different name, a different memory, a different fear. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of voices, losing my sense of self. I stumbled through the clutter, drawn to a large, ornate mirror at the far end of the room. It was covered with a black cloth, as if someone had tried to hide it away. I reached out and pulled the cloth away, revealing the mirror's surface. My reflection stared back at me, but it wasn't me. It was Mildred, her eyes wide with terror, her mouth open in a silent scream. She reached out to me, her hand pressing against the glass. I recoiled, my heart pounding in my chest. The mirror was a portal, a gateway to another world, a place where the past and present collided. Mildred was trapped there, her spirit tethered to the house, forever haunted by the echo. She was trying to warn me, to tell me to leave, to escape the house before it consumed me as well. But it was too late. The echo had taken hold, seeping into my mind, twisting my thoughts, amplifying my fears. I was no longer myself. I was Mildred. I was the previous owner. I was all the lost souls who had been consumed by the house. I was the echo. I reached out and touched the mirror, my fingers brushing against Mildred's. A jolt of energy surged through me, and I felt myself being pulled into the glass, into the darkness, into the echo. I am still here, trapped in the attic, forever haunted by the whispers of the past. The house is waiting, always watching, always waiting for its next victim. The echo is getting louder. Can you hear it?